The warrior queen who fought an empire, Rani Lakshmibai's cruel story. A 22-year-old woman stands alone on her horse. She holds a sword in one hand. Her baby is tied to her back. Around her, thousands of British soldiers are coming closer. They have guns, they have cannons. She has only her courage. Her name is Rani Lakshmibai, and today you will hear how a young girl from India became one of the greatest warriors in history. You think you know her story. Most videos show only her battles, but today you will discover the 3 losses that almost broke her spirit. You will learn the secret training she did as a child that nobody talks about. And you will hear about the one promise she made that changed everything. Why should you watch this complete video? Because by the end, you will not just know her story. You will learn how to stand up when the world says you cannot. You will learn how one person can fight against impossible odds. We make these videos after deep research. We spend hours finding rare facts and untold stories. We explain everything in simple English so you learn real lessons and improve your language skills. And if you don't want to miss more amazing videos like this, then do subscribe. This is the story of Rani Lakshmibai, the queen who refused to surrender. Section 1. The girl who wanted to be a warrior. Let me take you back to 1828. In a small town called Varanasi in India, a baby girl was born. Her parents named her Manikarnika, but everyone called her Manu. Now, here is something most people don't know. Manu's mother died when she was only 4 years old. Can you imagine a little girl losing her mother so young? Her father, Moropant, was heartbroken, but he made a decision that changed everything. He decided to raise Manu differently than other girls. In those days, girls in India were not allowed to study much. They were not allowed to fight. They were told to stay home and learn cooking. But Manu's father thought differently. He worked in the court of a king, and he took little Manu with him every day. Listen to this. While other girls played with dolls, Manu learned to ride horses. While other girls learned to cook, Manu learned to use a sword. Her father hired teachers. They taught her how to fight. They taught her how to shoot arrows. They taught her skills that boys learnt. The other children laughed at her. They said, "You are a girl. Girls cannot be warriors." But Manu did not listen. Every morning at 5 a.m., she woke up. She practiced with her sword for 2 hours. She rode horses in the fields. She became so good that even grown men were surprised. There is a beautiful story from her childhood. One day, a boy said to her, "Girls are weak. You cannot fight like us." You know what Manu did? She challenged him to a sword fight. And she won. The boy ran away crying. From that day, nobody made fun of Manu again. What this teaches us? Society will always tell you what you can or cannot do. People will laugh at your dreams. But here is the truth. Your dreams are not about them. Your dreams are about you. When someone says you cannot do something, let that push you harder, not to prove them wrong, but to prove yourself right. Try this. Think about one thing people told you you cannot do. Maybe they said you are too old. Maybe they said you are not smart enough. This week, take one small step toward that dream. Show yourself that you can. But Manu's real test was coming. At the age of 14, something happened that would change her life forever. Section 2. From Manu to Rani, a new life begins. In 1842, when Manu was 14 years old, her life changed completely. The king of Jhansi, Raja Gangadhar Rao, needed a wife. His first wife had died. He was looking for a brave and educated girl. When he heard about Manu, he was impressed. Manu's father was happy but worried. He asked her, "Are you ready to leave home? Are you ready to become a queen?" Manu looked at her father. She said, "I am ready for anything." On a hot summer day in May 1842, Manu got married. She became the Queen of Jhansi. Her name changed from Manikarnika to Lakshmibai. She was now Rani Lakshmibai. She was only 14 years old, but she had a big responsibility. Now let me tell you something beautiful. Raja Gangadhar Rao was not like other kings. He was kind, he was wise, and he loved books and learning. When he saw that Lakshmibai knew how to fight, he was not angry, he was proud. He encouraged her to continue her training. Every morning, Lakshmibai woke up before sunrise. She trained with her soldiers. She learned new fighting skills. She learned how to use a gun. She learned how to plan battles. The soldiers respected her. They saw that she was not just a queen sitting in a palace. She was a warrior. But here is what most videos never tell you. Lakshmibai also learned how to run a kingdom. She sat in court meetings. She listened to people's problems. She helped farmers. She built schools. The people of Jhansi loved her. They called her Ma, which means mother. For 4 years, life was good. Lakshmibai was happy. She had a husband who loved her. She had people who respected her. And then, in 1853, something wonderful happened. She became a mother. She had a baby boy. Can you imagine her joy? She held her baby in her arms. She sang to him. She dreamed about his future. She thought, "One day you will be the king of Jhansi." But happiness does not last forever. What this teaches us: when life gives you good times, enjoy them fully, but also prepare yourself, because challenges will come. The strong person is not the one who never falls. The strong person is the one who knows how to stand up again. 3 months later, her baby died. He was only 3 months old. Think about that pain. Lakshmibai held her dead baby. She cried for days. Her heart was broken into pieces. This was her first great loss. Section 3. When everything falls apart. The palace became silent. Lakshmibai stopped smiling. Her husband, Raja Gangadhar Rao, was also very sad, but he was also sick. The death of his son made him weaker. The doctors said his body was giving up. In November 1853, Raja Gangadhar Rao was dying. He knew he had very little time. He called Lakshmibai to his bed. He held her hand. He said, "I am sorry. I am leaving you alone." Lakshmibai had tears in her eyes, but she did not break down. She stayed strong for him. Before he died, the Raja did something important. He adopted a boy named Damodar Rao. This boy would become the next king of Jhansi. The Raja made this adoption official. He wrote letters to the British government. He said, "This is my son now. He will be the king after me." On November 21, 1853, Raja Gangadhar Rao died. Lakshmibai was only 25 years old. She was now a widow. In India at that time, widows were treated very badly. They had to wear white clothes. They could not wear jewelry. Many people thought widows were unlucky. But Lakshmibai was not any widow. She was the Queen of Jhansi, and she had to protect her adopted son's right to be king. Here comes the real problem. The British were ruling India at that time. They had a company called the East India Company. This company was taking over Indian kingdoms one by one. They had a terrible rule called the Doctrine of Lapse. What was this rule? Listen carefully. If an Indian king died without a natural son, the British would take his kingdom. They did not accept adopted sons as real sons. It was their way of stealing kingdoms. Lord Dalhousie was the British Governor General. He was the man who made these rules. When he heard that the Raja of Jhansi had died, he saw an opportunity. He did not care about the adopted son. He wanted Jhansi. In March 1854, the British sent a letter
to Lakshmibai. The letter said, Jhansi now belongs to the British. You must leave the palace. We will give you a small pension of 60,000 rupees per year. That is all. Stop here and think. How would you feel? Your husband just died. Your baby died before that. You are heartbroken. And now someone is trying to take your home, your kingdom, everything you have. Most people would give up. Most people would cry and accept their fate. But Lakshmibai was not most people. She wrote back to the British. Her words became famous in history. She said, Meri Jhansi nahi dungi. In English, this means, I will not give up my Jhansi. What this teaches us? There will be moments in your life when everything falls apart at once. You lose one thing, then another, then another. In those moments, you have two choices. You can give up, or you can stand up and say no more. I will fight. That moment of decision is what makes a warrior. Try this. Write down the biggest challenge you are facing right now. Then write these words. I will not give up. Put this paper where you can see it every day. Read it when you feel weak. But saying no to the British was dangerous. Very dangerous. And Lakshmibai knew what was coming. Section 4. The Warrior Queen Rises. For 3 years, Lakshmibai fought the British in courts. She wrote letters. She sent messengers. She hired lawyers. She was trying to save Jhansi without war. She did not want her people to suffer. But the British did not listen. During these 3 years, something else was happening in India. All over the country, Indian soldiers who worked for the British were getting angry. They were tired of being treated badly. They were tired of low pay and no respect. The British called these soldiers sepoys. In May 1857, these soldiers started a rebellion. We call it the Indian Rebellion of 1857. Some people call it the First War of Independence. Soldiers in many cities started fighting against the British. They were saying, no more, we want our country back. The rebellion reached Jhansi in June 1857. The British officers in Jhansi were scared. They knew the soldiers were angry. On June 5th, 1857, something terrible happened. The Indian soldiers killed the British officers and their families in Jhansi. It was a massacre. Many innocent people died. Now, the British blamed Lakshmibai for this massacre. They said she ordered it. But here is the truth that most people don't know. Lakshmibai was not involved in this massacre. She actually tried to protect the British families. She gave them shelter in her fort. But the angry soldiers did not listen to anyone. After this massacre, Jhansi had no government. There was chaos everywhere. The British army was busy fighting in other cities. So Lakshmibai made a decision. She said, if nobody will protect Jhansi, I will. She took control of Jhansi. She became the ruler. She built her own army. She trained men and women to fight. Yes, you heard that right. She trained women also. This was revolutionary. In 1857, women in India did not even leave their homes. But Lakshmibai created a women's army. One of her soldiers later said, the Rani rode her horse like the wind. She could hit a target with her gun while riding at full speed. She was better than most men. For several months, Lakshmibai ruled Jhansi. She kept the people safe. She kept the peace. The people loved her even more now. They saw she was a true leader. But the British were coming. In March 1858, a huge British army reached Jhansi. They had 6,000 soldiers. They had big cannons. They surrounded the city from all sides. The commander, Sir Hugh Rose, sent a message to Lakshmibai. He said, "Surrender now. We will show you mercy." Lakshmibai called her commanders. Some of them said, "We cannot win. The British army is too big. We should surrender." But Lakshmibai stood up. She said, "I will fight until my last breath. Anyone who wants to leave can leave, but I will not surrender my Jhansi." Nobody left. They all decided to fight with their queen. The Battle of Jhansi began. For 2 weeks, the British attacked the fort walls. They fired cannons day and night. The walls started breaking. Lakshmibai and her soldiers fought back. They threw stones. They poured hot oil on the British soldiers climbing the walls. They shot arrows and bullets. There is a powerful moment from this battle. One day, a cannonball hit very close to Lakshmibai. Her soldiers shouted, "Rani, please go inside. It is too dangerous here." You know what she said? "If I hide, who will my soldiers look at for courage? A queen fights with her people." Can you imagine? Bombs are exploding around you. People are dying next to you. But you stand there because your people need to see you standing. For 2 weeks they held the fort, but the British army was too big. On April 3rd, 1858, the British broke through the walls. They entered the city. There was fighting in every street. Lakshmibai knew they could not win now. That night, she made a difficult choice. She decided to escape. Not because she was scared, but because she wanted to fight another day. She took her adopted son, Damodar Rao, and tied him to her back. She rode her horse and jumped from the fort wall. Yes, she jumped from a high wall on her horse. Some of her loyal soldiers went with her. They rode through the night. The British soldiers chased them, but Lakshmibai was too fast. What this teaches us? Sometimes fighting means knowing when to step back. Running away is not always weakness. Sometimes running away is strategy. You live to fight another day. You protect what matters most, and you wait for the right moment to return. She reached another city called Kalpi. There she joined forces with other Indian leaders who were also fighting the British. Together, they planned their next move. Section 5. The final battle, a legend is born. In Kalpi, Lakshmibai met other rebel leaders. One of them was Tatya Tope, a famous freedom fighter. They combined their armies. They decided to capture the city of Gwalior. If they could hold Gwalior, they would have a strong position against the British. In June 1858, they attacked Gwalior and won. For a few days, it looked like they might win the war. The British were worried. Lakshmibai was becoming a symbol of resistance. People all over India were talking about the brave queen who would not surrender. But the British sent more soldiers. On June 17, 1858, the British army attacked Gwalior. Another big battle began. Lakshmibai knew this might be her last battle. She wore a warrior's clothes. She tied her adopted son to a trusted soldier's back. She told him, "If something happens to me, protect my son. Raise him well. Tell him about his mother." Then she rode into battle. She fought like a lion. One British soldier who saw her later wrote, "She was the bravest enemy we ever faced. She rode her horse into our soldiers. She fought with 2 swords, one in each hand. She was incredible. The battle was fierce. Lakshmibai was surrounded by British soldiers. She fought them one by one. But then something happened. A British bullet hit her. She fell from her horse. Her soldiers rushed to her. They carried her to a safe place. She was bleeding heavily. She knew she was dying. She looked at the sky. She was only 29 years old. Her last words were about Jhansi. She said, "I fought for my people. I fought for my kingdom. I die with no regrets." Then she took her last breath. But here is something beautiful. Even though she died, her story did not end. The British soldiers who fought against her respected her. One British officer said she was the bravest and best military leader of the rebels. Her sacrifice inspired millions of Indians. Young people started joining the freedom movement. They said, "If a young woman can fight an empire, so can we." The British ruled India for 89 more years after her death, but they could never kill the spirit she created. What this teaches us? Your life is not measured by how long you live. Your life is measured by what you stand for. Lakshmibai lived for only 29 years, but 165 years later, we still talk about her. We still learn from her, because she stood for something bigger than herself. She stood for freedom. She stood for dignity. She stood for never surrendering to injustice. And here is the most important lesson. You don't need to be perfect to be a hero. Lakshmibai lost most of her battles. She lost her son. She lost her husband. She lost her kingdom. She lost everything. But she never lost herself. And that is why we remember her. Try this. Ask yourself today, what do I stand for? What am I willing to fight for? It doesn't have to be as big as a war. Maybe you stand for honesty at work. Maybe you stand for protecting your family. Maybe you stand for your dreams. Find what matters to you. Then stand up for it no matter what. Remember at the start, I told you about a 22-year-old woman standing alone against thousands of soldiers. Now you know her complete story. You know she was not just born brave. Life made her brave. She lost her mother at 4. She lost her baby at 25. She lost her husband at 25. She lost her kingdom. She lost everything. But she never lost herself. And today in India, Rani Lakshmibai is a national hero. There are statues of her in every city. Schools are named after her. Little girls dress up as her on national holidays. Why? Because she showed that one person with courage can shake an empire. The British were the most powerful nation in the world at that time. They had the biggest army. They had the most money. But they could not break one young woman's spirit. And that is the power of believing in something bigger than yourself. Her famous words still echo in India today. "Meri Jhansi nahi dungi." I will not give up my Jhansi. Those words mean more than just a kingdom. They mean, I will not give up on what I believe in. I will not give up on my dignity. I will not give up on my fight for justice. So here is my question for you. What is your Jhansi? What is that thing in your life that you should never give up on? Your education, your dreams, your family, your self-respect? Find it, and then protect it with everything you have. Rani Lakshmibai started as a little girl named Manu, who just wanted to learn sword fighting. She became a queen, a warrior, a mother, a leader, and finally a legend. She lived only 29 years, but her life had more courage than most people show in 100 years. Your story is waiting to be written. What will you do today? Will you give up when things get hard? Or will you stand up and fight like Rani Lakshmibai? The choice is yours. If this story inspired you, share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to this channel for more true stories that change lives and improve your English. Because every week, we bring you stories of people who changed the world. People who teach us that ordinary humans can do extraordinary things. Thank you for watching. Remember, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is feeling the fear and fighting anyway. Be brave. Be like Rani Lakshmibai.